Last month, a traveler lost a $300 power bank at security and didn't even know what rule he broke. Traveling through airports in 2026 feels normal until you reach security. One minute you're in line, the next your bag is pulled aside, an officer is holding an item you've flown with for years, and suddenly you're being told it can't go any further. What most travelers don't realize is that airport security has quietly changed. Across major airports, new AI-powered scanners are now making instant decisions based on how your electronics look inside, not just what they are. Power banks, laptops, cameras, and devices that used to pass without a second glance are now triggering alerts in seconds. And here's the part catching people off guard. These aren't new rules. They're old rules being enforced harder than ever. That's why travelers are missing flights, losing expensive gear, and standing at checkpoints completely confused about what went wrong. In this video, we're breaking down the electronics most likely to cause problems at airport security in 2026 and exactly what you need to know before you pack so you don't find out the hard way. And if you think one of these items sounds harmless, that's exactly why so many travelers get caught off guard. Number 1. Smart luggage. These high-tech suitcases with built-in chargers and tracking features look convenient until you hit airport security. The biggest issue is the lithium-ion battery hidden inside the bag. In 2026, scanners can clearly detect battery placement and structure, and if officers see a battery that isn't easily removable, your luggage can be stopped on the spot. That's where many travelers get stuck, standing at the checkpoint with an expensive suitcase they've used for years, suddenly told it can't fly. The reason comes down to fire risk, especially in the cargo hold, where battery problems are harder to control. And here's the key detail most people miss. If the battery can't be removed by hand, some airlines won't allow the bag at all. The safest move is simple. Check your suitcase before you leave home. If the battery comes out, carry it separately in your cabin bag. If it's built in or needs tools to remove, using a regular suitcase could save you from delays, stress, or losing an expensive charger right before your flight even begins. Number 2. High-capacity and unlabeled power banks. Coming in next are power banks, one of the most common travel essentials that's quietly becoming a major reason bags get stopped at airport security. They may look small and harmless, but in 2026, modern scanners analyze lithium-ion batteries much more closely than before, especially when the capacity isn't clearly labeled. Many travelers assume size or brand is what matters, yet aviation guidelines focus heavily on watt hours, and that small detail is where problems often begin. Larger backup batteries, older models with faded labels, or off-brand chargers without clear markings can quickly trigger extra inspection because officers can't immediately confirm whether the device meets safety limits. Even experienced travelers are getting caught off guard, especially when a power bank they've carried for years suddenly raises questions at the checkpoint. Another frequent mistake is placing power banks inside checked luggage, which often leads to them being removed before the bag ever reaches the aircraft due to fire risk policies. The safest approach is simple but important. Always keep power banks in your carry-on, make sure the watt-hour information is easy to read, and avoid damaged or poorly labeled models that could slow you down, cause delays, or even lead to losing an expensive charger right before your flight. Number 3. Loose spare lithium batteries. Next on the list are loose spare lithium batteries, something many photographers, drone users, and tech enthusiasts pack without giving it much thought. Carrying extra batteries is completely normal, but in 2026, the way they're packed matters more than ever at airport security. Modern scanners can clearly detect the shape and chemical profile of lithium cells, and when several loose batteries show up together, it often triggers an automatic secondary inspection. The main concern is short-circuit risk. If exposed terminals touch metal objects inside a bag, a battery can heat up quickly, which is why aviation safety rules are especially strict in this area. Spare lithium batteries are not allowed in checked luggage, and even in carry-on bags, they must be properly protected. Travelers who toss them loosely into a pouch or pouch often get stopped while officers examine each battery one by one. To avoid delays and unnecessary stress, keep batteries separated, cover the terminals with tape, or store them in dedicated battery cases. This kind of organized packing helps you clear security faster and reduces the chance of an officer deciding the batteries look unsafe and removing them from your bag entirely. Number 4. Vapes and electronic cigarettes. This is one of the fastest ways travelers lose an expensive device at airport security, often without any warning. Vapes and electronic cigarettes are now one of the most closely watched items at airport security, and the rules around them leave almost no room for mistakes. These devices combine two things aviation authorities are most concerned about: lithium-ion batteries and liquids. Because of the fire risk, vapes and e-cigarettes are never allowed in checked luggage and must be carried in your carry-on or kept on your person at all times. Even then, officers expect them to be packed in a way that prevents accidental activation during the flight. Devices that appear damaged, modified, or switched on are often flagged immediately at the checkpoint. Vape liquids are also subject to standard liquid restrictions, meaning bottles must be small and properly stored. Many travelers assume these rules are flexible, but enforcement has become much stricter in recent years, and mistakes often end with the device being confiscated with no chance of getting it back. Packing carefully and following carry-on requirements is the only reliable way to avoid losing your vape at airport security. That uncertainty is exactly why many frequent flyers have stopped bringing them altogether. Number 5. Cordless hairstyling tools. Cordless hairstyling tools are another item that's starting to surprise travelers at airport security. They're designed for convenience, compact, portable, and easy to use on the go, but many rely on lithium-ion batteries or gas-powered heating systems, which immediately draw extra attention during screening. In 2026, advanced scanners can clearly detect heating elements and internal power sources, and if an officer believes a device could accidentally activate or generate heat inside a bag, it may be pulled aside for closer inspection. Butane-powered curling irons and straighteners are especially unpredictable because airline policies vary widely. One airport may allow them under strict conditions, while another may refuse them altogether. That inconsistency is why many travelers get caught off guard with a tool that passed security before but suddenly raises questions at the checkpoint. To reduce the risk, make sure any cordless styling device has a strong safety lock or protective cap, and avoid carrying spare fuel cartridges, which are often restricted. If you want the smoothest experience with fewer surprises, switching to a traditional corded hair tool while traveling is usually the safest choice.
Number 6. Drones. Picture this. You're already past passport control, and suddenly your drone case is the only bag left on the belt. Drones have quickly become one of the most popular travel gadgets, but they can also create unexpected problems at airport security if they aren't packed carefully. While many airlines allow drones in both carry-on and checked bags, the real concern is almost always the batteries. Spare lithium-ion drone batteries are not permitted in checked luggage, and placing them there can lead to them being removed before your bag ever reaches the aircraft. Even inside a carry-on, oversized or poorly labeled batteries may trigger extra screening because officers need to confirm they meet safety limits. Drones that appear heavily modified, have exposed wiring, or lack clear identification can also attract additional scrutiny, turning a quick security check into a longer delay. Travelers who want a smoother experience should keep batteries protected and clearly marked, store the drones securely to prevent damage, and make sure everything looks clean and properly assembled. A little preparation can make the difference between capturing incredible travel footage and watching an expensive drone get left behind at the checkpoint. Number 7. Electric razors and beard trimmers. Electric razors and beard trimmers might seem completely harmless, but they're being flagged more often at airport security than many travelers expect. With newer scanning technology, officers can clearly see the internal motor, wiring, and battery, and anything that looks damaged or out of the ordinary draws immediate attention. Older devices, off-brand models, or razors with cracked casings and worn charging ports can appear unsafe on a scan, even if they still function perfectly. When that happens, the item is often pulled aside for closer inspection, and if the battery looks swollen or the internal components aren't clearly identifiable, an officer may decide not to allow it through. While many electric razors are eventually returned after inspection, there's never a guarantee, especially if the device looks heavily used or poorly maintained. To lower the risk, use clean, intact grooming tools and avoid bringing damaged or visibly altered devices that could raise unnecessary concerns at the checkpoint. Number 8. Electric toothbrushes. And now, here's an item almost nobody expects to get flagged. Electric toothbrushes are another everyday item that can unexpectedly slow travelers down at airport security. On modern scanners, they appear as dense cylindrical devices containing a motor, wiring, and a built-in battery, which can look unusual if the image isn't perfectly clear. One of the most common problems is accidental activation. If a toothbrush starts vibrating inside a bag, that movement, combined with its internal components, can quickly draw attention during screening. The overall condition of the device also matters more than most people realize. Toothbrushes with cracked handles, corrosion near the charging port, or visible signs of repair can resemble modified electronics, which officers are trained to examine carefully. In those situations, the item may be removed simply because it looks risky. To avoid delays, use a hard travel case that covers the power button, pack the toothbrush securely, and avoid traveling with old or damaged handles that could raise unnecessary red flags at the checkpoint. Number 9. Hidden cameras and spy gadgets. Hidden cameras and disguised recording devices are another category that draws serious attention at airport security. Items like pen cameras, USB chargers with built-in lenses, or small recording gadgets may not be officially banned, but they're frequently flagged because they don't match what they appear to be on the outside. Modern scanners are designed to spot unusual electronics, and when an everyday object contains extra wiring, lenses, or camera components, it stands out immediately. This almost always leads to a manual bag check and detailed questions about what the device is and why it's being carried. If something looks modified, homemade, or difficult to clearly identify, an officer may decide it isn't worth the risk and refuse to allow it through. Even when these devices are legal, carrying disguised electronics can slow you down and create unnecessary stress at the checkpoint. Travelers looking for a smoother experience often avoid bringing spy-style gadgets altogether, or keep them easy to access and ready to explain if security asks about them. Number 10. Rechargeable plasma lighters. Rechargeable plasma lighters may seem like a modern, travel-friendly alternative to traditional lighters, but they often create confusion at airport security. Unlike disposable lighters, these devices generate an electric arc powered by an internal battery, which immediately draws extra attention during screening. Because they combine heat generation with lithium-ion power, different airports and airlines sometimes interpret the rules differently, making enforcement feel unpredictable. One officer may allow a plasma lighter in a carry-on bag if it's clearly protected from accidental activation, while another may decide it isn't worth the risk and remove it on the spot. That uncertainty is what makes these gadgets such a gamble when flying. Even when guidelines suggest they can be carried under specific conditions, the final decision almost always comes down to the individual officer at the checkpoint. For travelers who want to avoid delays or losing their lighter entirely, sticking with a basic disposable option is usually the safer and less stress-free choice. And before we wrap up, there are a few more electronics that are getting flagged more often in 2026. Smart glasses and AR wearables, high-power laser pointers, portable mini projectors, modified gaming consoles, and long-range walkie-talkies. We're not breaking these down today, but if you travel with any of these, double-check airline and security rules before packing, because these are quietly causing problems at checkpoints. If you want a full breakdown of these remaining items, let me know in the comments. Getting through airport security in 2026 really comes down to awareness and preparation. The technology being used today is far more advanced than what most travelers are used to, which means even everyday electronics can now cause delays or end up confiscated if they're packed the wrong way. The key takeaway is simple. Pay close attention to anything that contains a lithium-ion battery, especially items with unclear labels, visible damage, or removable power sources. Taking a few minutes to check your gear before leaving home can save you from losing expensive devices, missing your flight, or getting stuck at security with no good options. The rules themselves aren't suddenly changing, enforcement is, and understanding that difference puts you ahead of most travelers. If you've ever had something flagged or taken at airport security, share your experience in the comments, because real stories help others avoid the same mistakes. And if this breakdown helped you travel smarter, make sure you're subscribed for more updates like this, so you're always prepared before your next trip.